Jordan Lake, Raleigh area, North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham area. Great lake to visit. This is JB from Going Wild here, on location at Jordan Lake near Apex, North Carolina. One of my many haunts, especially springtime. I know it's not spring yet, it's still kind of cold at night, but it'll be spring soon enough. Figured I'll come out and check my campsites, making sure they're all good to go for the year. The water's up pretty high. They must have the dam flowing slowly. Anyway, I'll get back to you with some tent setup I've been meaning to use. I wanted to do it in some snowy circumstance, but snow's kind of hard to predict so far this time of year. Although it's not over yet in the high country in the western North Carolina, you can have it all the way up through April occasionally. Out in the canoe, different strokes, maybe teach some paddle strokes. Although one thing I found, I'm an ACA, it's American Canoe and Kayak Association instructor. I teach flat water, not rapids, but most water is flat for the most part, I figure. And I teach paddle strokes occasionally, but most people figure they know how to paddle canoe. But it's one thing to paddle the canoe, and it's another to paddle with the most efficient strokes you can at the time and know how to operate the strokes to control the canoe. It can make your life a lot easier to learn the proper strokes. Maybe we'll go through those a little bit here in the near future. Anyway, I'll get back to you when I get to camp and start setup. All right, just paddling away here. I think I need the GoPro to show how these different strokes. I'm gonna give it a try. Okay, right now I'm using a forward stroke. Got a little wind coming in over the bow, so it's in a forward stroke. Now I'm gonna add a stern pry. See how I'm pulling my thumb back in? Got my thumb up, pulling it in. It's a stern pry. So forward stroke, stern pry. Forward stroke is your power, and then the stern pry keep you facing straight. You can use a J stroke. I'll show that here in a minute if I can. But you notice I'm not switching sides. You waste a lot of energy and a lot of time switching sides. That J stroke, here we go, turn it out like a J. It takes the bow back across. The GoPro might show this a little better because you can't see the bow, you can only see me. And there's a rear sweep there. Forward stroke, stern pry. And I might be able to show these actually on shore a lot better. Make a separate video. But it's a nice day. I have seen several bald eagles in this spot, so that would be cool to have one on the video here. So that's why I got it filming. Just to take a chance on catching one. Might have to flip it around, taking it off. But I have seen them. They have a nest right up in this channel. I'm gonna paddle up in this channel a little bit. Got my fishing pole. Maybe I'll do a little bit on fishing. And my springtime gear I've got here, I've got a little Zebco. I got a gift card for Christmas, and I got the Zebco and some different lures that I like to use. And for my springtime fishing, I like crappie. Some people say crappie. My dad used to say crappie, so I say crappie. And to me, that's the best freshwater fish there is as far as taste. Second to that, I like catfish and brim. Here in North Carolina, people call them brim. That's anything small enough to fit in a pan, pretty much. Like sunfish, perch, warmouth, bluegill, all that here in eastern North Carolina gets classified as brim. Some people might even say crappie's brim, but I don't those. Notice I haven't switched sides yet. You can always tell an amateur paddler because they're switching sides all the time. And I had to deal with some heavy wind a minute ago. Still didn't switch sides. Forward stroke, stern pry. Gets that nose, that bow back in front of you at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock to my heading, that is. Closer to 1 when I do the forward stroke. Then I do the stern pry. Brings it back to 12. Or like I said, J stroke. Let's see if you can see this. In, hook it around, create the J. You hear it. Get up in this cove. Still not quite spring yet. The crappie might be running deep. I see some people under the bridge. They might be trying to get some crappie over there. Maybe I paddle over there later. I'm scared to take the camera out into the middle of the lake. Might get a little rocky. I don't want to lose my phone or the gimbal that I got for Christmas from my brother. He's a good boy. He's a fine man. He's not a boy. He's like 8 years younger than me. So I'm like almost 57. Be 57 this month, actually. And it's what I like to share on the videos. What's taken me a lifetime to achieve, to learn. And that's a lot of it's dying out. I met a guy who used to work for the North Carolina Wildlife Commission, and he taught me he reinforced a lot of what I knew. He was the best I've ever seen at filleting a fish and dressing a deer, field dressing a deer. He was great. We used to hunt and fish and things like that. I'm not sure whatever happened to him. Lost track of him during COVID. Hope he didn't croak, but it happens. We're all gonna go sometime. That's why every day's precious. See my Plan B campsite up ahead here. Maybe I'll stay a night there and do a video on it. It's not. It's kind of on a hillside, so it's not quite as flat as the one I was just at. Get over here in the shade and do a little fishing. See if they're running up here in the channel yet. Might catch an early bird or two. Okay, I have a little Zebco here. It's a little crappie pole for crappie fishing. And I've got it here on just a little swirly tail, I'll call it. I think it's actually called like a grub lure. And I've got just a little sliding weight on there. Just give it a little heft so it throws in the windy condition here. And kind of clean this up a little bit off the hook. Wouldn't it be cool to catch a fish on video? I feel like Bill Dance. Here's to you, Bill. Wind's kind of turning me, so if the sun pops up. Good throw. First cast with a brand new pole. and I alternate. Sometimes I'm real slower than others. The wind has me going towards the bait, and so I'm reeling a little faster than I usually do, kind of make up for the drift here in the boat. All these people spend a lot of money on these bass boats and thousands of dollars. I pulled up in a canoe. It wasn't even in my kayak. I was in a canoe, my old fiberglass one, and I was at the boat ramp, and a guy had this nice bass boat, and I pulled up and was getting all my gear out and brought my car up closer to the boat ramp, and I gave him the right of way because he had a trailer he's backing into the water. I just pulled the car up alongside and pick up the canoe and carry it up there. And so I was emptying out the canoe, and I took out a stringer full of fish, and he was like, I don't think he was really mad. I think he was kind of having fun and acting, but he was like, I can't believe it. I spent all this money. And he was showing me his boat and stuff like that, talking about all the money he's got into it and the truck he had to buy to pull it. And he says, and you outfished me in a canoe. And I told him, I said, the canoes, they can get up in the channels in the springtime where they go to bed down. And, uh, and I tell you, you get up here in the channels in the spring and they'll hit anything. They'll protect those eggs. Once they bed down, you can see it on the bottom. It looks like craters on the bottom of the lake here. See something floating. I was just checking it out. The water's been up, so I've seen a lot of things floating. I found more of those little bobbers or floats with the light and the batteries and the rattles. I'm gonna have to try one of those sometime. I find more lures and floats and things like that paddling around the lake in my canoe here. I highly recommend kayaking, canoeing. It's good exercise, get you outside. All right, let's see here. We'll cast up in here, see if I get it. It might not be biting because of the, got real close to a not a sourwood, but a sweet gum tree there. Maybe they're waiting for something to drop in. Their aircraft. We're really close to Raleigh-Durham Airport here. That's where that's from. Lots of willow out here. Good to stock up on sometimes. Find some dried and dead. I'm at 10 minutes. I'm keeping track. I don't think you can post anything over 30 minutes. So I'm going to keep some time on. And people don't have to watch this if they don't want to. I might even not even put it on the thing, but this is real. This is real time. It's not edited, which I am doing a little better with the editing thanks to a app my son turned me on to. I hope the sun don't hit the screen here. And I only switch sides in the boat when I want to. It's pretty good. Maybe I'll send him this video. Be kind of like he's fishing with me. We used to go to the Outer Banks in the kayaks or to the barrier islands, Masonboro and all that. And I got to where I wouldn't carry food and we would just eat what we catch. And he asked me one time, not too long before he shipped out, I think it's one of our last trips, talking about why we don't bring food. And I told him, I said, you fish so much better when you're hungry. If we don't bring food, he fishes like crazy trying to catch something. But if we bring food, he just kind of rather surf and things like that, I guess, and swim. All right, let's give it another cast here. Ooh, I think I see an eagle. Here's a juvenile. Juvenile, they have different colors than the adults. They're more kind of blotch looking. in their juvenile stage. You know, he looked big, but this cove is right where they have their. Let's see if this will follow me. They're right where they have their nest up here. They're still there. Thought I had a bite. Just got a log. And I use light hooks to where if I get hung up, all I have to do is pull on it and it straightens the hook, and I just take my pliers on my Leatherman tool and straighten it back out. Oh, it's another one of those little lighted bobbers, I think. Pull the pole here. No, that's not a lighted one. That's a regular one. Let's see if I can see that nest up here. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to respect wildlife, not get too close, but I want to know exactly where it is. Kind of cool to know. I know it's right up in here somewhere. Might need to do a backpack adventure in search of, but I don't want to cause them to move. Here at Jordan Lake, I think last I heard, they had 14 pairs of bald eagles, which is pretty cool. Western North Carolina, in Lake Fontana, there's a lot of bald eagles. And I've had one sitting on a branch about 10, 12 feet above the water. And we was able to get the canoes pretty close. And the clients, most of them liked it, but you had a couple, teenage guys were late teens, early 20s. They're like, it's a bird. Like, no, it's a bald eagle. It's not just a bird. You can usually tell a bald eagle's, as far as I know, is one of the only birds that has white head and white tail feathers. So when they fly over and you see white and white on both ends, good sign. There's a bald eagle. I remember first time I seen a bald eagle while I was working. I was working a shift. I was on the Foothills Trail. And was it Lake Jocassee in South Carolina? I'm switching sides because I want to. Lake Jocassee, I think it runs into, and had to get signal for the sat phone. There was no signal, so I had to get signal for the sat phone. So I had to go get out of the trees away from the hills. So I walked out closer to the lake and was sitting there on the side of the lake on this flat part of land, and sitting there waiting for it to pick up enough satellites to make a call. And a bald eagle flew, I mean, right over my head. And I thought to myself, what other job can you have that this can happen on? And I really loved that job for the most part. There were times when the bureaucracy of the running things kind of got to me, trying to get wool socks for clients in the wintertime, things like that. But usually things were good. In the early days, we had no worries about things like that. The guy in charge saw to that. I see some bubbles up here. Might be a fish. I'm going to throw a line. That was a good one. Bill Dance made a career of this. I think he's still kicking. Bill, if you're still kicking and you see this, let me know. Leave me a comment. Used to watch you growing up. Loved it. And I think there's another show in Tennessee. I don't think it's here in North Carolina, called Fishing Hole. That was good. I don't think Bill Dance was in that one, but Bill Dance had his own thing. Make a living fishing. That would be pretty good. And not commercial fishing. Commercial fishing, I've done that a little bit with a friend of mine. He used to take me grouper fishing with him, and that was work. pull up his anchor for him, and that's kind of like his first mate. I was his only mate, just me and him. I guess he needed a hand sometimes. And this is a good place for bank fishing. This little cove right here, not too far of a walk from the parking lot. So come out here bank fishing with my wife sometimes. Before we got this new canoe, the old canoe she didn't like. It was too tipsy. But I bought 3 of those canoes and I gave 2 away as a donation for a Girl Scout troop that was getting started up. I gave them 2 canoes, paddles, life vests, backpacks, tents, quite a bit. Back in the early days of going wild, back in the 90s and early 2000s, I would supply all the gear, backpacks, tents. It didn't dawn on me to have people bring their own. My attorney that helped me draw up the contract, he said you should rent the gear to them, even if it's for $1. That way, so that's what I did. It's a slight rental fee. That would cover any kind of damages or things like that. Well, I'm sure if y'all are bored, you're not watching the whole thing. Some people might. It's at 18 minutes. I might stop and make another one. I guess if I get a bite, I can always hit play, have it ready to go. I think they just film and edit on Fishing Hole and Bill Dance. And the Southern Sportsman. Don't want to leave him out. What was his name? But the Southern Sportsman used to fly around in a Zebra airplane. Watched him growing up too here in North Carolina. Oh, he was good. House Ultries was his sponsor. They have, those of you not in North Carolina, they have a selection of Hush Puppy mix. Oh, oh, got out of the bush. Nice. Cornmeal, things like that. House Ultry brand. Even though my mom kind of turned me on to, wrapped around the tip there, turned me on to a brand that I've been using ever since she passed away. Might have to get my reading glasses out for this one. White Lily. Flour, cornmeal. I use that a lot. All right, let's see what I can get here. Close, but not quite on shore. Perfect cast. Nice and slow. Make it look like it's swimming a little bit. Can't wait for tonight. Show y'all my sandwich of choice. I think I got time for another cast. Ooh, that was good. Right in there. I got the right drift going. Is that a fish? Nope, I think it's a log. I'm gonna have to paddle over to it. This is another technique here. I'll show you here as soon as I get it turned around. How to paddle with one arm. Oh, I see the tree now I'm snagged on. Once I get to the other side of it, it'll come loose. Get my, all right, let's get over to it. Do a sweep stroke here. Cool. See, I've got it wide. Yeah, I see it. I want the line to stay tight, so I'm gonna have to hold it right there. Get the drag pretty loose. All right, here we go. See it right there. Wish I could show you, but I don't want the camera to fall over. And there it is. Got it. So, right under the boat. I was going to have to turn around, but I didn't. I saw it sticking in the top of the log. And fishing with light gear is a lot of fun. You get a good bite on it, and you got that drag set nice and light, and a fish puts up a good fight on this light gear. This pole is pretty light, and it bends pretty easy. It's a lot of fun. Now I got my catfishing poles, I call them, for summertime. I use the same poles for surf on the beach and saltwater. But I'll use this little one on saltwater too, especially on the intercoastal side. I'll take the kayak and paddle up. I've got a trip planned for April. If y'all want to go, let me know. And you go to my Facebook site, Going Wild on Facebook. I usually advertise my trips. Maybe I should advertise on Facebook. I'm not sure. But got a few trips planned this year. One to the Outer Banks, Shackleford area, the Wild Horses, Cape Lookout. Spring's best time to go there. Summertime, I go out to Fontana probably a couple of times this year. Do some backpacking up in the mountains, things like that. All right, let's give another couple of casts here and see what happens. And I always hold my finger out like that, and I'll kind of, and I always think I can feel a bite better. I don't know if that's true. Little Zebco here. It's a good little reel rod combo.